Agni. Mandalam 1, Suktam 1, Rishi, Madhuchandas Vaishwamitra, Devata, Agni, Chandas, Gayatri. Mandalam 1, Suktam 1, Rik 1.
Agni purohitam yajnasya devamritvijam hodaram ratnadhatavam.
I acknowledge Agni, beneficial to stronghold, divinity of process of change, ministering priest, presenter of oblation, bearer of gem-like aftermaths of change. Change, the basis of existence. Agni, the impeller of change. Change is the basis of existence and its incessant creative processes. And Agni, as energy, is the driver of change. Hence, energy is fundamental to all processes in existence and impels it according to referable and verifiable natural laws. Energy does manifest itself in many forms with specific functions called into operation by process needs, the transformative results being precious and life-sustaining for the immediate environmental niche that it serves and the beings thereof, as well as the macrocosm. The inputs that go into such processes lose their identities and are transformed into newer objects. From the perspective of the inputs, this subjection to a loss of identity can be termed a sacrifice for the benefit of others. In time, the new products themselves are offered as inputs for further sacrifices, and this cyclic scheme of existence proceeds, perhaps eternally. The mention of Agni as a gem maker is true literally too. It is at extremely high temperatures and pressures that natural gems are created, mostly in the Earth's crust between 3 and 25 kilometers below Earth's surface, while diamond and peridot originate in the Earth's mantle below 25 kilometers from the Earth's surface. The meaning of the word rich is to praise, and from the deduction that it is truth that is praised, the first Rik, truth, of Rigveda, knowledge of truths, is deservedly a double truth, thematically and literally. Any functional unit in existence is referred to as a stronghold, as it possesses the wherewithal to maintain its identity and expresses itself by its activities. As all activities and objects are presided over by Agni, he is the donor, the donee, and the donation in every happening. Mandalam 1, Suktam 1, Rik 2.
Agni purveभिर्षिभिर्ज्यो नूतनैरुता स देवान् येह रक्षति.
Agni is caused to be acknowledged by earlier seers and by the contemporary. He conducts the divinities towards here. Agni's grand orchestra. Many parallels can be drawn from this verse with contemporary cosmological concepts. The ancients recognized them as well, but their expressive paradigms were according to their times, just as they are today according to ours. The first parallel is the inherent idea of the constancy and indestructibility of energy. The second parallel is the idea of an all-pervading energy that orchestrates activities throughout the universe, a la Higgs field dynamics, in the parlance of contemporary seekers. The universe is said to have emerged out of the unmanifest singularity and proceeded upon its unidirectional march towards its ultimate dissolution back into the said singularity. Prakriti is the appellation used for the universe in Sanskritam that translates as forward action, which signifies the unidirectional march of activities, it having itself originated as one. As a dramatic visualization, Agni conducts this orchestra comprising of a range of forces or divinities, drawing upon their individual expertise to render a one-of-a-kind, melodious and charming composition titled Existence. Mandalam 1, Suktam 1, Rik 3.
Agnina rayivasnavatposhamev dive dive yasasam veeravattamam.
By Agni, he surely gets affluence, esteem, utmost virility, increasing day by day. The question of identity. By means of energy, or its inadequacy are the sentiments of preservation and growth as well as of their opposites, and their respective consequences are realized moment by moment, day by day, across time. The role of energy in existential affairs is neither occasional nor ephemeral. It is constant, continuous, and interminable. Every state of existence of every being is beholden to it, whether the object be inanimate or animate, or whether it be agreeable or detrimental in the perspective of the object. One can be certain that it will only be agreeable from a universal perspective, and always. Energy and its varied manifestations are bound to the overall dynamics of the existential system, the law of nature with its unalterable criterion of cyclicality, functional reciprocity, and unidirectional march that is apparent as cause and effect, which also translates as the notion of time and adheres to the law of conservation of energy, the laws of motion, and the relative nature of existence. Terms like affluence, esteem, and virility mentioned in the verse are meant in the absolute sense, for logic dictates that if they are meant at the individual level, it begets discord, strife, and conflict. Self-abnegation is the approach that makes a worship absolute and strifeless, making the effects of the worship universal that includes the worshipper too. Everything boils down to the question of identity. When we identify ourselves with our physical frame, considering it to be distinct from those of others, we are subject to the vagaries of duality. Identification with the unmanifest supreme resolves all possible predicaments, at least in principle. Mandalam 1, Suktam 1, Rik 4.
अग्नेयम् यज्ञवद्भरम् विश्वतः परिभूरसि स यद्देवेषु गच्छति.
Agni, this unobstructed sacrifice you are guiding on all sides, it assuredly reaches upon divinities. Differentiations and distinctions, peculiarities of duality. The attempt to understand and express the architectural nuances of nature by the civilization of any era will inevitably be spiced with metonymies from prevalent lifestyles and the unchanging metaphors of duality that is permeated by diversity and obligatory opposites. The categorization of divinities and assigning of functional roles to them is a good example of such understanding and expression. Era-specific architectural constructs may differ in their facades but must be quite similar in overall utilitarian terms. This verse perhaps gives a glimpse of this phenomenon. Energy, which presides over transformations and strives to cause them too, according to prevailing needs, ensures their success as well. The primeval energy embraces all of its myriad manifestations that continuously transform and sustain the plethora of absolutely interdependent material phenomena across every level of complexity, from the subatomic to the supragalactic, cognized as material existence at the mundane level. All traits of energy observed at this level can be seen to have parallels at the level of mind constructs and should be expressed at the level of consciousness too as the unified everythingness. Also, Agni cannot express itself without the participation of all other natural forces, immortals or gods as they are referred to. Differentiations and distinctions are peculiarities of the manifest duality of the unmanifest singularity that mandates an end to every beginning, a death to every birth, a bad to every good, a sin to every virtue, and a demon to every god. The unmanifest singularity is unperturbedly ensconced eternally in infiniteness, witnessing the grand show that it has set in motion. Mandalam 1, Suktam 1, Rik 5.
अग्निर्होता कविक्रतुः सत्यश्चित्रश्रवस्तमः देवो देवेभिरागमत्.
Agni, presenter of oblations, omniscient intelligence, he who is true, has wonderful praiseworthy action, divine, come indeed with divinities. Insignificant significance and significant insignificance. Activities are categorized as being benignant or malignant from a specific standpoint. For Agni, as well as all the other divinities, these categorizations are extraneous. Their standpoint is universal, where no activity is right or wrong intrinsically. Conditions at a place and time being conducive, they act in spontaneity, a trait that is extolled by the approbatory phrases, he is true, has praiseworthy action, and is an omniscient intelligence. These approbations apply equally well to all divinities. Every action leads to a consequence, which is a new situation and time for the divinities to act again in their usual true and praiseworthy manner. Activities can further be deemed to happen at two levels. At a level that is perceivable by the senses, which is termed reality, and another at the imaginative level, which is termed knowledge. And Agni makes both happen. The two levels begin to coalesce as we metaphorically ascend up the rungs of our fractal existence and merge at the apex of this apparent pyramid and arrive at the threshold of the third, where the creator and creation become indistinct. At the lower levels, the activities and events, cause and effect, and the transformative forces appear distinct, but in a sense, they are all manifestations of the omniscient. Acknowledging this truth is the first step towards enlightenment. Natural forces pervade existence, and the idea of inviting them to the venue of an activity may seem paradoxical. However, this must be seen more as an exercise of accepting the norms of duality in our existence with its obligatory propensity for distinctions and acknowledging to ourselves that we as individuals are but one of a plethora of contributors, the other contributors perhaps being the rest of the universe combined to the conduct of any activity. It emphasizes both our insignificant significance and our significant insignificance to the scheme of existence. Existence may still work without any one of its supposedly inconsequential constituents, but it'll certainly not be the same as it would have been with it. Mandalam 1, Suktam 1, Rik 6.
यदङ्गदासुषे त्वमग्ने भद्रम् करिष्यसि तदेतत्सत्यमङ्गिरः.
Since you indeed will make you auspicious for the giver, Agni, assuredly that is your truth, Angiras. Invisible latent heat and visible fire. As there is an effect to every cause, anything ceded, renounced, or eschewed willingly for the common good will have a salutary ramification, even if seeming to be apparently unconnected and be circumstantially unverified. Energy and its expressions ensure this. In an interdependent universe, no activity is futile. Energy acts, transforms, and bestows through its various manifestations and their respective concerted dynamics whatever that is due within the ambit of the inclusive need of the macrocosm. The term giver in this verse alludes to every mortal that gives its time and effort to make existence tick, and Agni makes himself auspicious to facilitate every such effort. This is a verifiable notion, subject to the verifier possessing the knowledge of the symptomatic diversities. A legend alluded to in the verse narrates the temporary abdication of duties by Agni in favor of Muni Angiras and his subsequent reinstatement. This, perhaps, is an allegorical reference to the fact that natural forces can express traits of their brethren interoperably, their effects lending themselves for validation based on the conditions, intensity, and range of the said interoperability. It also points to the possibility of an effect being different from what was intended or expected by an observer or the initiator of the cause, but yet relevant from the macrocosmic perspective. The term Angara, etymologically related to Angiras, perhaps refers to the latent heat of a material which, if high enough, can cause spontaneous fire under conducive conditions, imaginatively referred to as the reinstatement of fire from latent heat. Mandalam 1, Suktam 1, Rik 7.
उपत्वाग्ने दिवे दिवे दोषावस्तद्धिया भयम् नमो भरम् तयेमसि.
Agni, day after day, We, the blemish-pervaded, verily come near you bearing our salutation by intellect. A simple prescription for all ills. In comparison to the eternal, all mortals are blemished, as death is a certainty. This is an immutable trait of duality. We are indeed obligated to energy and its manifestations, whether personified or otherwise, for every action of ours and every effect that it bestows upon us. Offering tribute, even if merely in thought, to all the natural forces who are representatives of the eternal in creation, and that sustain us during our fleeting existence, makes our lives both contented and fulfilling, a state of being that well curtails intents and actions which can precipitate universal non-well-being. The essence of this thought is encapsulated in the saying from Manusmriti, Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitah, where the verb root raksh denotes both protection and observance. The saying calls upon mortals to observe and understand the workings of the natural forces, or immortals, to the extent possible and rely upon them for protection. Non-observance leads to non-understanding, leading to detrimental actions by the mortals, destabilizing equilibrium, that in turn will lead to corrective measures by the immortals, which will be hurtful to the mortals. Thus, observance leads to protection. The cited dictum from Manusmriti can be seen to work in every circumstance, regardless of its complexity. Its profoundness lies in its simplicity and its universal applicability. Mandalam 1, Suktam 1, Rik 8.
राजन्तमध्वराणाम् गोपामृतस्य दीदीविम् वर्धमानम् स्वेदमे
To the ruler of transformations, to the shining protector of truth, to the increasing in own dwelling. Universal expansion, entropy revisited. As has been seen from the earlier verses, the truth about energy governing everything in the created universe from its inception to its dissolution, which is a fact that can be perceived in our daily lives, is reiterated. There is also an allusion to another deduction of contemporary cosmology, that of the expansion of the universe. Interstellar space may be devoid of matter, but it isn't devoid of energy. Transformations of the energetic kind are constantly happening there too. Further, as the universe continuously expands, as inferable from the red shift in the spectra of light received from distant stars, new interstellar space is constantly being created. The growth and increase of energy in its own home, referred to in this verse, perhaps alludes to this phenomenon, But this violates the first law of thermodynamics from contemporary science, which is also seen to be true. To adhere to the law, it must be so that with the increase in physical dimensions of energy's abode, its intensity per unit volume constantly decreases, which is indicative of and is in consonance with the notion of entropy and its continuous increase as the universe ages. And it also validates the notion of the direction of time as a consequence of this continuous increase. Perhaps every conceptual law of contemporary science and more is embedded in Vedic hymns, shrouded in the hazy folds of intriguing legends and entertaining poetic flourishes. Mandalam 1, Suktam 1, Rik 9.
सनः पितेव सूनवेग्ने सूपायनो भव स च स्वानस्वस्तये
Easy access is he for us. Agni, do be as a father to offspring, do be associated to us for well-being. Agni, beauty in every functionality. This is a statement of fact disguised as an invocation, essentially declaring that the primordial energy and its manifestations are ever with us, in and for our existence, in our unidirectional journey from birth to death, followed by transmigratory metamorphosis, both individually and collectively. They and the other natural forces together are our progenitors in every sense of that term. Unconsciously, we seem to learn so much about existence from Agni's behavior, though most of us as individuals may not arrange or categorize this information and fashion them into standard rules. We inherently recognize that actions cannot be reversed, and those sets of actions that seem cyclical and hence apparently reversible always require additional energy inputs. All these are the expressions of the traits of Agni. There is beauty in Agni, functionality in Agni, purpose in Agni's doings, immortality in Agni. Truly is he our preceptor, a natural force that actively cares for our well-being in the universal context.